Alright, next video I'm doing here, I figured I would kind of reach back in the past a little bit and bring a lure out I haven't used in a while. I'm going to try and call this segment, I think, Throwback Thursdays is really what it is. Hopefully I have enough product to do that with. We'll have to see how it goes. But, every now and then I'll throw one in here, hopefully, that is interesting anyway, or hopefully interesting. Background on me is I'm just a bass fisherman. I'm 52 years old. Watching multi-species fisherman, if you really want to be honest about it, because I can fish for bluegill just as much as I can fish for bass. But this lure here that I'm about to bring up is the reason I'm bringing it up now is because I've been watching a lot of videos lately on YouTube here. A lot of these new guys that are out there fishing, and they're all fishing these swim baits, and they all talk about these big swim baits and monster bass and big swim baits, and we used to use them too. Almost 20 years ago, probably, if not longer. We were throwing big swim baits back in the day. I'm a ex-Southern California fisherman. I'm now in New Jersey. But grew up, started fishing in a lake called La Mirada Park. It's a lake in La Mirada, California. Across the street was a golf course called La Mirada Golf Course. Check it out on Google. You'll see there's two lakes there. That's where I honed my chops of bass fishing, basically, within those two lakes. Started there at 10 years old. But anyway, growing up in Southern California, you have a plethora of lakes you can fish in. Pudding Stone, you have Lake Paris, you have El Dorado Park, lots of golf courses. Lakewood Golf Course is another one I fished. I love golf courses, one of my favorite places to fish. If you fish golf courses, let me know. Love golf courses. Some of my favorite bass have been caught in golf courses. But anyway, I've been watching a lot of these YouTube guys lately, and they've been doing videos on big swim baits, throwing these big baits. Nothing beats these big baits. But one thing I noticed is that I never see them really catching any really giant bass on it. And these are some of the most realistic lures I've ever seen. So I'm going to pull out a lure here. It's a lure that, this isn't an original. I wish it was an original. I wish I still had an original. But I've probably lost 2 or 3 of these over the years. And, well, back in the day, I should say. And I couldn't afford to buy an original. Oh, I don't know. He still sells them. I could probably get one. But anyway, this was I don't know if he sold the company, if he licensed it to a company, but this is actually a copy of the original lure that we used to get. And back in the day, this lure, along with another company called Z-Plugs, were the big swim baits you threw. They were actually designed for striper fishing. And being on the California Delta and lakes over there that had stripers, this is what guys used for striper fishing. But they found out you started catching bass on them. My whole thing with fishing them is I never really fished a lot of lakes where I could use them. I had them, these lures, in my arsenal, but I rarely got to use them because the lakes I was in, I gotta be honest, I think they're too big. I mean, if I really want to throw, I'm the type of guy that wants to fish. I want to catch fish. I don't want to sit there and cast 1,000 times to possibly catch that one fish. And it's not guaranteed you're going to get a big fish because you'll have a bass eat a lure that's, the lure's over half of its length or 3/4 of its length. It'll eat a lure that's almost as big as it, really. So just because you throw big swim baits doesn't mean you're going to get big bass. And that's the problem I ran into, is that my catching ratio wasn't as good as I would like it to be. Yes, I did catch bass. Every now and then you'd get a good one, 6, 8, 10 pounds. But they're far and few between. I've got probably 2 10-pounders under my belt, quite a few 8s, maybe 1 9. It's been 40 years I've been bass fishing, so I've got a few decent fish under me. I got one 13-pounder, 13.6 Mojave Narrows. If you want to look it up, it's I don't know how it is now. I don't even know if it's still there or not. But this is way back in the day, probably in the late 80s, early 90s. I caught that bass at 13 pounds. But anyway, I'm getting distracted here. We used to fish. When the swim bait craze came in, there was a team that was on. I think it was, I want to say, Casitas. They were fishing a tournament. Well, it blew up in magazines. There was no internet then. So all of a sudden, these guys caught like a 60-some-odd pound stringer of bass, and like every bass was 10-plus pounds. And everybody thought, well, how the hell did these guys get these fish? These are monster bass. These guys just blew a tournament out by catching just a stringer of bass that were just astronomical. Well, kind of find out they were throwing big swim baits back in the day. And the baits they were throwing were, I believe this bait here that I'm going to show you here, and the Z-plug. These were the plugs that you use. And they didn't actually look like the ones they look like now. All the lures now, the big swim baits, are just built to look like fish. I mean, they look like big trout. They look like perch. They look like bluegills. They look like crappies. Just the baits are awesome, you know. So I mean, I'll give you an example here. This isn't though it's not a big one. This is a small one, but this is what I mean by a swim bait. You know, they got them now jointed like this, pretty good looking. You know, just photorealistic. And like I said, this is a small one. I don't have any need for big ones anymore. I'm in South Jersey. I mean, I think the record is 10 pounds and is for the state record, and rarely do you ever get one over 6 or 7 pounds. So, realistically, for me, bass fishing in Jersey, I don't need anything big. So, I mean, I have something small like this. I take a couple of these every now and then and fish them and try them out, but really, I don't catch anything with them. So, let me put this one back here. But what I did fish when I was in California, and every now and then you hit a lake like Pudding Stone or something, or, you know, you want to throw a big lure and you throw it for a couple hours. And this is the lure you would fish. This is known as the AC plug. I'm trying to hold it up here so you can see the coloring, how it's built. Nothing fancy. A wood lure with a shad tail on the back. Probably a 3-inch shad tail is what originally was. This is, as you can see on the bottom here, is, I believe, the Lure Jensen version of it. Yeah, the AC plug, Alan Cole. Original plug, hard to get them. I mean, I think he still has a website up. You can look into. I'll link it down below if it is. But a great lure. This lure here. Now this size here was awesome. This got me some big bass. I'm not going to lie to you. This size here got me a lot of 5, 6, even a couple 7s probably. And this was my preferred lure to go to. When I was in a lake where I thought I would get a big basso, and where the big swim baits come in nowadays, was this beast. This is the daddy. Now, I don't even think this is the biggest one anymore, but at the time, this was one of the bigger ones that we used to throw. That's like a 9-inch swim bait or something, or a 12-inch swim bait. And it's the same color, because the trout pattern is what we used in those lakes, because we'd fish wherever they stock trout at. And in Southern California, you had a lot of trout stockings. So you'd go there, you know, a couple weeks after the trout stocking was over and the bass had settled in on eating the trout, and that's what you did. But anyway, this is a huge bait. Never used this in Jersey. This thing's brand new, never used. The reason that is because here, there is no need for it. I mean, I could use it for stripers, but oh my God, it'd break my heart if a striper tore this thing up, or a bluefish. It's just too pretty to throw. And I hate to say that, but it really is. I love this lure. I love the design of it. Like I said, the baby brother of it here caught me a lot of fish. But anyway, the reason I bring this lure out on this day is because, you know, you see all these guys throwing these, you know, $50 to $200 swim baits, and I have yet to see where they've caught as many big bass as lures like this and the Z plug have caught. Most of the state records are done on this lure right here. The original AC plug owns a lot of state records, if I'm not mistaken. Bass and stripers. And if you look at it, like I said, it's not nothing fancy. A couple, looks like eyelets holding it together. Piece of wood. And a shad tail on the back. But it caught a lot of big bass back in the day. And it's kind of gone by the wayside. But still, you can still get them. You can still find them. eBay, you can find them probably cheaper. But this is one of those lures that doesn't get a lot of looking anymore because it's not as fancy. It doesn't, you know, when you have a YouTuber who's making money out the wazoo, he's not going to buy the $25 swim bait like this and fish it, no matter what it's caught. He's going to swim the $200, you know, like us, the Castaic baits is what we used to call them back in the day. Castaic made a beautiful trout bait back in the day, a hard bait, and that's what these kind of remind me of now, the new ones. But anyway, Throwback Thursday is the AC plug in a trout pattern was my favorite. I've been kind of rambling on here about 10 minutes. Kind of takes you back. This lure here is almost, I think I bought this at Cabela's when it opened up in Allentown, Harrisburg. Was it Harrisburg? No, Allentown. No, it's not Allentown. I forget where it's. I think it's Harrisburg is where the Cabela's is in Pennsylvania. And that's where I bought these at. When I was in there, I seen them. I picked a couple up, and these were them. And like I said, haven't thrown them since I've been here, only because the lakes I'm in, South Jersey here, you know, the average bass I'm catching are a pound, 2 pounds. If you're lucky, you get a 4 or 5 pounder, you know, one out of a summer. So, and all the lakes are really shallow. They're fishing, you know, under 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet. There are some lakes are farther away that I could go to, but they are too far for me. Locally, that's what I do. I kind of downsize to get the fish that I can pull out of these lakes. But from back in the day, here you go. Throwback. Great lure. If you can pick them up, you can get them cheap. Or if you can make your own, it's a great design to copy. Because I'm telling you, it catches fish. You can get jig skins now to put on top of them. And that's what I would do. I would jig skin them. You know, get them swimming the way you like. Had one of the best swimming actions too. One of my favorite lures. So, Throwback Thursday, the first one here. I'm sorry if I rambled on a little bit, but the AC plug, a great lure. If you're looking for other sizes, like I said, they got them in a smaller size too. This one's a little smaller, though it's probably 7 inches long. Definitely a bass catcher. Probably definitely a striper catcher too, if you're out there looking for a striper plug. But let me know what you think. One of my favorite lures from back in the day. Haven't used them in, well, obviously I haven't used these, and they're, you know, I don't know how, like I said, probably at least, my daughter's 13 years old. I've been married 15, 14 years. Got them when I first moved here, 2001. It's 2018, so you do the math. So they're up there in age. These lures are up there. So used them back in California, and that's where we did most of our fishing. So. But anyway, if you get a chance, pick one up. You can pick one up used. You can pick one up on eBay. See if you can find one. See what you think. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment down below. And I will see you out there, hopefully on the water.